No one is born with the knowledge of how to be a kind person. That's something we all learn as we grow. Follow along this week in a playlist of stories as Kiddo, with some help from Mimi, learns valuable lessons about being a good friend and neighbor. Kiddo and Mimi will be back with new adventures in 2 weeks. Happy summer!
Snuggle up and let me read you a little something. Grab a seat, a bite to eat, and settle right in. For hugs, snuggles, stories, and more, and so many sweet things in store. Welcome to Afternoons with Mimi.
Should this go over here? Or is it better there?
You certainly are busy. How can I help?
I just want to be sure that we have enough space for Max and me to play. Do you think there's enough room in here?
I think you've done a great job. Now let me just put that there and perfect. I also cleared a spot for you both outside in the driveway in case you'd like some fresh air.
I'm so excited, Mimi! I've never had a play date at your house before.
I'm happy you're happy. And I can't wait to meet your new friend, Max.
Is he here yet?
Let me check my watch. We have about an hour before Max gets here.
Okay, I have a few more things to get ready. Mimi, why are we having a play date here instead of my house?
Well, honey, your house has a long driveway with a hill and a lot of stairs to get to the front door. And my little apartment here is on the first floor with no steps, so Max's mom can pull right up to the driveway for you both to play. Since Max uses crutches to get around, this means at my house, you two can get right to playing.
So Max and I can have more fun here. My house might not be so comfortable for him.
Exactly. Now, we have a little bit of time before he gets here. How about a story?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, snuggle up while I read you a little something. The Candlewick by Jennifer Rosner. Illustrated by Christina Swarner. It was said that Bela Lichten's family brightened the entire village because every home, from the midwife's stilt house perched at the river's edge to the baker's kitchen house set in the very center, shone with the light of Lichten's candles. The Lichten family worked hard at their candle-making business. While Bela's husband peddled in the markets, Bela worked at home, carefully dipping wicks of cotton into molten pots of bayberry and beeswax. She made beautiful braided candles to mark the end of the Sabbath, and thin, colorful candles to fill everyone's menorahs on the 8 nights of Hanukkah. Whenever Bela used her colorful dyes, she thought of her friend Ruthie, who loved bright colors more than anyone else she knew. And since Ruthie was arriving today for a visit, Bela dipped candles with her richest blue. Ruthie walked along the riverbank on her way to the Lichtens' house. She stopped to pick raspberries and to peer into a nest of swans. She gathered mushrooms for Bela's mother, and she even found a long white feather for little Aaron. In her satchel, she carried gifts for everyone, newly knitted mittens that she'd made by herself. When Ruthie arrived at Bela's, she knocked on the door. "Hello? Anybody home?" she called. No one answered. "Hello?" Ruthie called again. She knocked and knocked. Just then, Ruthie realized her mistake. Of course Bela couldn't hear her knocks or her calls. Bela was deaf. She used a hand language and wrote messages on slate. She couldn't hear the sound of Ruthie's arrival. Ruthie walked around the house. She peered into the windows until she spotted Bela bending over a large pot simmering on the stove. The window was open and a curtain billowed in the breeze. Ruthie reached in and pulled the curtain to the side. Bela immediately noticed the shifting of the sunlight. When she saw Ruthie, she ran to the door to let her in. During her visit, Ruthie helped Bela's mother make a hearty mushroom soup. She tromped through the woods with Aaron looking for more feathers. With the yarn she always carried with her, Ruthie knit some new mittens for market. But best of all, Ruthie worked side by side with Bela, dipping candles. Ruthie was amazed by Bela's technique. By draping several long wicks over a single straight rod and lowering them together into the wax, Bela made her candles grow with perfect uniformity in color, length, and thickness. Most candles Ruthie saw in the village markets were mismatched and uneven. "Where did you get this idea?" Ruthie wrote on a slate. "From you," Bela wrote. And she showed Ruthie her stash of candles, packaged in pairs with a single wick connecting them, just like Ruthie's mittens, which were tied together with string. Ruthie enjoyed a peaceful Sabbath with the Lichtens, and at nightfall on Saturday, when 3 stars shone in the sky, she had the honor of lighting one of Bela's beautiful Havdalah candles to mark the Sabbath's end. The following day, they resumed their work. Several times, Ruthie heard knocks at the door. She paused to write on a piece of slate. "I hear someone at the door. Shall I see who it is?" Each time, it was a villager wanting to buy candles. "I came last week, but no one answered," one villager told Ruthie. "I didn't think anyone was home." "This was my 3rd time. I was about to give up," said another. As she happily helped each customer, Ruthie worried about the many Bela had missed. To have customers walk away empty-handed was bad for the Lichtens' business. The morning of Ruthie's return home, Bela handed her a big bundle of candles as a gift for her family. Ruthie thought again about how Bela could not hear anyone knocking on the door. How would she know when people came to buy candles? Bela's gift was wrapped in brown paper and tied with a bow made from candle wick. Suddenly, Ruthie had an idea. But she would need a whole spool of wick to try it out. Starting with a loop around the curtain in Bela's candle room, Ruthie ran a length of wick to the knocker on the Lichtens' front door. When she banged the door knocker, it pulled the wick, which tugged at the candle room curtain. Bela saw the movement of the curtain and the change in sunlight. She rushed to the front door. Her very own doorbell. Bela was delighted. She would now be able to hear her customers, and her visitors, too. She would be able to sell more of her candles from home. As Ruthie said goodbye to the Lichtens, Bela's mother invited Ruthie and her family to return in the winter for Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, a perfect occasion for both candles and mittens. Ruthie could hardly wait. Author's note: this story is based on the innovation of my daughter, Sophia. Unable to hear the doorbell when upstairs in her room, Sophia trails a string from her bedroom window to the front door. When someone tugs on the string, Sophia's window blinds move up and down. She knows visitors have arrived, and she heads downstairs to let them in. The end.
I liked how she made an invention so it was easier for her friend. What was her name?
Bela is Ruthie's friend in the story.
Yes. Mimi, is there anything else I can do to make sure Max has fun today?
Well, I did call Max's mom to ask about his favorite snacks. Why don't you come help me get those ready while we wait?
Sounds good. What are we making?
One of your favorites as well. Ants on a log. I have all the ingredients. Let's make a few while we finish waiting. The mitzvah of welcoming guests, or Hachnasat Orchim, is not just about inviting people in, but also making them feel honored, relaxed, and at home. If you'd like to learn more with your family, visit pjlibrary.org and click on Jewish Values. Snuggle up and let me read you a little something. Grab a seat, a bite to eat, and settle right in. For hugs, snuggles, stories, and more, and so many sweet things in store. Welcome to Afternoons with Mimi.
Bye, Ema. Bye, Baba. See you later.
Well, hello, my heart. What's on the agenda for today? And whoa, hold on a sec. Those are some fancy, fancy new shoes.
Yeah, do you like them? They light up. See? And that's not all. They have wheels on the bottom, too. Watch.
Oh, honestly, now I've seen it all. Do they also cook your dinner?
No, shoes can't do that. They're pretty awesome, aren't they?
Yes, those are some quite incredible and fancy shoes. Now, since no one has invented shoes that can cook for us yet, come into the kitchen and I'll get your snack.
Mimi, what's for snack?
Well, let's just slide you over here so we can snuggle up and share a little something.
Ooh,
Excited?
babka! Chocolate babka!
A special treat for a special kid. Now, aside from your shoes, what else is new?
Well, I have some new friends. They live in my neighborhood. They're bigger than me. I always see them riding bikes.
Oh, yes, I think I've seen those kids too. What are their names?
Josh, Ryder, and Tali. Josh has a huge backyard with a pool and a Ninja Warrior obstacle course.
Wow, did you get to play on it?
Yeah, and his mom's invited us to the neighborhood party next week.
That sounds like a wonderful time.
Only,
What's on your mind?
I met these cool big kids because they saw my new shoes. And Tali wears shoes like mine too. And then they invited me to ride bikes.
Well, what's wrong there?
Well, I was supposed to ride bikes with Eli and Blue, but I went with the big kids instead. Tali also said something about no training wheels on the rides, but Eli and Blue still have them. And I kind of haven't gone bike riding with Eli and Blue in a few days now.
And how do you feel about that?
A little bad. Like, I have these awesome shoes and I can ride them without training wheels, so I get to hang out with the big kids. But I want Eli and Blue to be there too.
Have you talked to the other kids about that yet?
No, not really. But I don't. I'm not sure how to. Part of me thinks I should just go to the neighborhood party and then give my goodie bag to Eli and Blue when I see them later.
Well, that's one thing you could do. I mean, it is okay to have different groups of friends, but it's also nice when all of your friends know each other too.
Yeah, this feels like a huge problem, Mimi.
This reminds me of a very, very old story. Would you like to hear it?
Sure.
Okay, snuggle up and enjoy your babka while I tell you a little something. A long, long, long time ago, there was a kingdom, and in that kingdom lived a man named...
Frederick.
Oh, that's his name.
Yeah.
Okay, in that kingdom lived a man named Frederick. Now, Frederick was a hard worker, and he loved animals, and even though he wasn't rich and didn't have a big fancy house or light-up wheelie shoes, he did happen to be good friends with the...
Emperor?
Well, I was going to say king, but sure, emperor. One day, this emperor asks his friend Frederick to come over for a big fancy dinner party. Frederick thinks to himself, oh, wonderful. And even though he doesn't have a lot of fancy things at home, Frederick puts on a nice clean shirt and trousers.
Ones he wears just for special occasions?
Yes, just for special occasions. The other friends on his street say, wow, Frederick, you are so lucky to be friends with the emperor, and I wish we could go eat a fancy feast for a night. Frederick says goodbye to everyone and starts to walk to the palace. It's up a big, big hill, and while he's on the way, he hears a sound, a little...
Ah!
Oh, what animal is that?
A goat. They yell.
Oh, honestly. So he hears that very loud noise and investigates. He finds a little black goat stuck in a little ditch. It's panicking and having trouble. Frederick rolls up his sleeves, hops down from the road, and calms the little goat. With a 1, 2, 3 push, he gets it right out of the ditch. The little goat is safe.
But now Frederick is all dirty.
Yup. When he arrives at the palace, his friend the emperor says, don't worry about a thing. I have many clothes to loan you. And he gives Frederick a beautiful fancy coat to wear and some...
Sparkly pants?
Sparkly pants.
And the Emperor lets him keep them?
Yes, he says, I have so many clothes, and these look great on you. Keep them. Everyone at dinner compliments Frederick's outfit. All of the other guests think he must be very important because of his outfit, and because he is sitting near the Emperor. Many of them don't even touch the beautiful food on the table or take their goodie bags. But the coat has many pockets, so Frederick stuffs them full. Later on, when he's home, he has a beautiful bounty of goodie bags and treats to share with all of the people in his neighborhood.
The end?
The end. You know, as you're learning with your sneakers, and I guess your bike too, what we wear or have can affect how others see us. But here's a question we have to ask ourselves. Do those things change the way we see ourselves too?
What do you mean?
Are you a different kid now that you have fancy shoes and can ride a bike with no training wheels?
Not really. I still like the same things and I still like my friends.
And are you still the same brave kiddo who walks by Mothra, the big German shepherd, on the way to school?
Yeah. I think that Josh and everybody noticed me because of my shoes. Maybe because I look more like a big kid now. But I think they like me for me. We have a lot of fun playing on the ninja course together.
So, do you think you'll go to the birthday party still?
Mimi, can you help me make a phone call?
Sure.
Okay. Here's Josh's phone number. Hi. Hello? Can I talk to Josh, please? Oh, hi, Josh. Yeah, it's me. I'm at my Mimi's. Until dinner time. I can ride bikes after. Hey, Josh, can my friends Eli and Blue come too? I think you'll like them. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh, that would be great. Okay. Okay, bye.
So, what happened?
Mimi, he said Eli and Blue can come bike riding. And he didn't know their names to invite them to his next neighborhood party. But now he does. So everyone will be together.
Oh, kiddo, you are a great friend and a wonderful little minch. And there's Emma and Baba to pick you up.
I love you, Mimi. Thanks for the great story. And the babka. And for helping me.
Have fun on the bike ride. See you soon, Neshama Shuli. Snuggle up and let me read you a little something. Grab a seat, a bite to eat, and settle right in. For hugs, snuggles, stories, and more, and so many sweet things in store. Welcome to Afternoons with Mimi. Whoa, what's the rush? Where's the emergency?
I'm making sure the wizard doesn't see me.
The what? The who?
The wizard down the street. In the creepy house. All the kids know you have to hold your breath when you go by his house. You can't step foot on the lawn. And if he comes outside, you can't look him in the eye or he'll steal your energy away, Mimi.
Oh, okay. Have a glass of water and take a breath. Let's start over. The bus dropped you off today at the usual spot, right?
Yup.
And you and who else walked over here?
My friends. Theo and JD. Theo lives in the building across the street. And JD's grandma lives in that little building behind your backyard.
Uh-huh. And who started this whole thing about the wizard? As far as I'm aware, we have no wizards, witches, gremlins, trolls, Dybbuk, or other worldly entities in this neighborhood, and I should know. I've lived here a long time.
On the corner. The house with all the plants all over it and the crumbly paint. And the old weird car in the driveway. The lawn is never mowed. JD's cousin's big brother, who told JD's big brother, and he told us that a wizard lives there and his yard is full of booby traps. His cousin said even their uncle knew about the creepy house when he was a little kid.
Uh-huh.
And the wizard lives there. He's old and he has long white hair and a big beard, and one of his eyes is a different color because he uses it to get his magic and steal your energy. That's why sometimes he doesn't look old. He comes out of the house and has short, dark hair, like Baba.
Right. You know, kiddo, judging people for what they look like isn't very kind. I'm surprised you think this. Here, hold that.
This basket? What are we... sorry, Mimi. He does look different sometimes, and his house is creepy. And if the big kids say he's a wizard, he must be, right? Right, Mimi? Right?
Big kids are cool, but they don't know everything. Here, take that too. There we go. Now we're all set. Come with me.
Mimi, where are we going? Who are we bringing these snacks to? Why are we going to... Oh no! Mimi, we're walking right over... We cannot go to the creepy house! Mimi, what are you doing?
Introducing you to a friend of mine while we do a mitzvah. Mr. Johansson. Hi. Hello.
Mimi, he's coming over here.
Kiddo, meet my neighbor, Mr. Johansson.
Well, hello, young man.
We brought you a little something.
Why, thank you so much. These soup mixes have been such a big help. Well, hey, neighbors. Aw, Adele, you shouldn't have. Well, thank you so much. Oh, boy, I really appreciate you guys keeping tabs on my dad. With work, it's hard to get over here as often as I'd like.
Oh, not a problem at all. That's what neighbors are for. I'm glad to see you're healing up. Jake, you have my number, right?
Yes, I'll text you later.
All right. We'll let you get back to resting. Come along, kiddo.
Nice to meet you. Feel better.
Well, thank you, young man. I'll see you later.
Back home. Go ahead on in.
So, Mimi, he's not really a wizard?
No. Mr. Johansson is a sweet, quiet man. You don't remember this, but when you were a baby, he used to come over for Shabbat dinner and sing to you.
Oh, really? Like, he held me?
Yes, indeed. You used to settle right down. You loved his singing. And now would Ima or Baba or I let someone who wasn't a kind, good person we trusted hold you?
I guess not. So, he's not a wizard after all. And he doesn't transform. His son just comes over sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Now that that's all settled, would you like a snack?
Can I snuggle up and hear a story first?
Sure.
Okay. Mimi?
Yes?
Why did everyone tell me Mr. Johansson is a wizard if he's really just our sweet neighbor?
Well, sometimes when kids, well, people in general, see someone different from them or they don't understand something, they make up a story in their mind. And sometimes that story gets repeated so often and changed that people start to believe it as fact.
Oh, I see. Do you have a story about that?
I do indeed. Slide on over here, Neshama. Once upon a time, very long ago, there was a little village. And in the little village, there was a little boy named George. Now, George was mischievous. You know what that means, right?
Yes, he sometimes liked to cause trouble.
Correct. George would try to listen in on the grown-ups' conversation or his friends, but he would get so excited he wouldn't hear the full story. Instead, he would run off to share the secrets he had learned with anyone who would listen.
Uh-oh.
Yep. One day, George saw Mr. Miller taking a package and some letters off of his neighbor, Mrs. Burton's porch. George ran through the village. Thief! Thief! Mr. Miller is robbing Mrs. Burton's house! People got all worked up and nervous. Mr. Miller stealing? Would he steal from them next? Luckily, the mayor calmed everyone down. Everyone relax, he said. Mrs. Burton is on vacation. She asked Mr. Miller to hold on to her mail and packages until she gets back. Oh, the crowd said before departing. The mayor motioned for George to join him. I have a project for you, George. For me? Asked George. He felt important talking to the mayor. The mayor motioned for George to walk across the street with him to the community garden. He handed George a bag of dried leaves. George, said the mayor, Go spread these throughout the village. They're good for compost. Then come right back here." So George did as he was told. He spread some leaves by the playground, down the street near the shul, in front of his own family's house, near the post office, and for good measure, near Mrs. Burton's driveway. By the time he ran back to the mayor, he was out of breath. The wind was starting to pick up. "Okay," George said to the mayor. "All done. Anything else for me?" "Yes," said the mayor. "Go back and collect all of the leaves now, please." "What?" said George. "You heard me," replied the mayor. But it's windy out. How will I possibly—" But the mayor cut him off. "You better get started now, George." George ran all over town, but the leaves were swirling in the wind. The little pile by the shul was flying down the street, swirling all over. He could barely grab a single leaf. Exhausted and frustrated, he walked back to the mayor. "I'm sorry," George told the mayor. "It's just impossible to get all those leaves back." The mayor smiled. He took a deep breath and crouched down so he was eye level to George. "George," the mayor began, "I did not expect you to find all of those leaves. But the stories you repeat, the things you say about your friends and the people in the village, once they're out there, George, they're out there. Like the leaves. You cannot get them back once they start blowing all over the place. Same with your stories." And so George changed. He became a good listener, but he never made up or repeated a story again. The end. What do you think of that story?
I think I'd like to make a card for Mr. Johansson.
That's nice.
Yeah, to help him feel better. And because I'm sorry I thought he was a wizard.
That's lovely, honey.
And Mimi?
Yes, my heart?
Can we bring him Shabbat dinner next week?
Absolutely. There are 2 lessons Kiddo learns in this episode. Not to judge people by appearances, and also not to spread or listen to gossip. For us grown-ups like Mimi, our job is to help children like Kiddo learn the difference between sharing something interesting and important or sharing something that might be false or hurtful. To learn more, visit our website, pjlibrary.org. Snuggle up and let me read you a little something. Grab a seat, a bite to eat, and settle right in. For hugs, snuggles, stories, and more, and so many sweet things in store. Welcome to Afternoons with Mimi. What's going on?
My friends are mad at each other.
Oh, my. Well, that is a pickle. Do you want to tell me about it?
I guess. It's kind of confusing. But all I know is Morgan and Joey are both mad at each other. And Emo is going to take us bowling tomorrow after school. But Joey says he won't come if Morgan does, and Morgan says the same. I feel sad.
Oh, Neshama, that sounds very tough. Do you want a little snuggle?
Yeah. I think I feel like talking about it now.
Okay, go ahead.
We went on a field trip today,
Well, that sounds fun.
and we had to take a really long bus ride to get there. It was a little hot on the bus and bumpy, and everyone was kind of squished together. And Joey didn't mean to, but he kept poking Morgan with his elbow. And Morgan would say, "Stop! Give me space!" But Joey couldn't, and Morgan thought it was on purpose. Then I tried to distract Morgan by telling knock-knock jokes. And Joey said Morgan laughed too loud and made his ears hurt.
It sounds like even though they're friends, they started to drive each other a little bananas.
Yeah. I had to work really hard to not get upset because I don't like bumpy rides. I kind of wanted to yell, "Be quiet!" But I just stayed calm. Morgan and Joey were getting madder at each other, so our teacher made Morgan trade seats with me. When we were switching, Morgan said, "Good luck," and Joey heard and got his feelings hurt. Later, when we were walking around the museum, Joey and I were looking at some big lizards. Morgan was on the other side of the tank, and then Joey started saying, "Ew, gross, froggy frog frog." But Morgan thought Joey was being mean, not talking about the animals. And now everyone is upset with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me a story to make me feel better? My tummy hurts a little thinking about this.
Of course, Neshama. Do you remember the story of Passover?
Of course. It's so exciting. Everyone escapes by crossing the Red Sea.
Well, how about what happens after?
Everyone gets lost for a little while?
Yes, the Jewish people wandered the desert for many years. Now, think about how you felt on that long ride yesterday. It was a little tough, wasn't it?
Yeah. I just kept doing rainbow breaths and thinking about how at the end we could play in the museum.
Right. So imagine now that you're with everyone you know, not just a few friends, and you're camping in the desert. And it's hot and sticky, and you're all crowded and not sure where you're going next. You know you're going to eventually be somewhere amazing, but right now, you're tired.
That doesn't sound very fun.
Naturally, people might start to get a little snippy with each other.
Are you going to tell me a story?
Yes, I'm setting it up. Do you remember that Moses had a brother?
Aaron?
Right. This story is about him, and about some friends and neighbors who weren't being so kind with their words.
Like what happened with my friends?
Yes, so scoot in just a little closer and snuggle up while I...
Tell you a little something?
You know it. Once upon a time...
A long time ago.
Correct. A very, very long time ago. The Jewish people had escaped Pharaoh and his soldiers, and they were wandering through the desert. At one point, Moses had them set up camp. It was very hot and people needed to rest. After a lot of work and effort, a small area was set up with a little bit of shade so that families could rest.
And not get a sunburn.
And not get a sunburn, correct. Two men started arguing over a lovely shady spot where each wanted to rest and eat supper with their families. "I should have this spot. I'm older and need more rest," said the first man. "No, I should have this spot. I've been carrying many more supplies for the rest of the camp," said the second man. "Well, I've already put down my blanket," shouted the first man. "So what? I marked the spot as soon as we got here," said the second. "You are so selfish," the first man exclaimed, exasperated. "As are you," yelled the second.
Mimi?
Yes?
I think the people in the story need names.
Okay, what shall we call them?
Bob and Herbert.
That's not the direction I thought you were going. But sure, Bob and Herbert. So, Bob and Herbert kept shouting at each other, saying all sorts of angry things at each other.
Like calling each other frog faces?
Oh, definitely. They caused such a commotion that Moses and Aaron came running up to investigate. They didn't want the conflict to continue, so each escorted one of the men back to his tent and family.
Were Bob and Herbert usually friends?
Well, usually yes, but they ran out of patience with each other. Sound familiar?
Did they stay mad at each other?
I'll finish the story and you tell me. Aaron did not like to see people in his community fighting. He was friends with Bob and with Herbert, and he wanted them all to be able to spend time together, and especially to find a way that they could all enjoy that patch of shade together. Aaron stopped by Herbert's first. How's it going, Herb? Have you cooled off a little bit? That Bob is such a sneaky sneak, trying to take all that shade for himself. What's next? Stealing food? Taking extras? Oh, I'm getting so worked up. I want to give him a piece of my mind. You know, said Aaron, you and Bob have been friends for so long. You usually speak so highly of each other. Just this morning, Bob was talking about how much he admired your creativity and all of the good ideas you have. Really? He said that? Well, of course he did. And surely, Herbert, being so creative, you could come up with a way to enjoy that spot with Bob instead of fighting with him. I'll think about it, said Herbert. Next, Aaron visited Bob. Hi, Bob. Still mad? Oh, yes, said Bob. I'm fuming. Who does that Herbert think he is? King of the Shade? Aaron looked at his friend. Now, Bob, we know that Herbert is usually really good at sharing. Things just got out of hand earlier. I've had it with that Herb. I'll never speak to him again. Well, responded Aaron, that is a shame, because you two have had such a wonderful, long friendship since we were kids. And I happen to know that Herb has some things he'd like to say to you. I'm not listening unless he's apologizing. I believe that's the plan, but, it would be good for you to apologize too. Wipe the slate clean, as the expression goes. And then, perhaps, you can work together to share that lovely shade patch. Now that would be something. I'll think about it, Bob said.
So what happened?
Well, it was very late, so Aaron turned in for the night. In the morning, he got up early, stepped outside of his tent, and was surprised to see,
Bob and Herbert?
yes, talking and laughing and getting along.
Really?
Oh, yes. After Aaron left, each approached the other. They were much calmer, ready to apologize, and even started working on a way to share the shade together.
The end?
The end.
So, I wonder. Maybe I can talk to Joey and Morgan and help them remember what good friends they are, just like Aaron did in your story.
That's a fabulous idea, my heart.
Do you think it'll work?
Well, there's only one way to find out.
Okay, I'll talk to Joey at karate later on. And then when we wait for the bus tomorrow, I'll talk to Morgan. And then after school, hopefully everyone will want to go bowling again.
Wonderful plan.
Thanks, Mimi. That story really helped.
Anytime. Snuggle up and let me read you a little something. Grab a seat, a bite to eat, and settle right in. For hugs, snuggles, stories, and more, and so many sweet things in store. Welcome to Afternoons with Mimi. Well, if I didn't know any better, I would say that there's a grumpy grumpster in my home today, and not my lovely kiddo.
I'm not grumpy.
What's going on, pal? Tell Mimi what's up. Sounds like something big.
Mimi, have you ever had to forgive someone even though they did something unforgivable?
Why don't you tell me a little bit more about what's going on? And here, I've got carrot sticks and raisins for snack today. But you know what? I think we need a little chocolate hummus, too. Feeling better?
A little, I guess, but I'm still frustrated.
Here, give Mangaroo a big squeeze and start from the beginning.
Okay, Mimi, I'm ready to talk about it. So, you know how I have Owlie?
Your little stuffy that you take to bed every night?
Yeah, my special owl. I've had her since I was a baby. She's mine, and she's so special to me. But...
Just take a deep breath.
Well, Baby Z took Owlie, and...
It's okay, honey. Give Mangaroo another big squeeze.
Baby Z took Owlie and put her in his mouth. And Baby Z ripped Owlie. She's ruined.
Oh, my. That is really hard, honey.
Ema says Baby Z didn't mean it, but I'm still so mad. How will I sleep without my Owlie?
Listen, honey, I talked to Ema. I can fix Owlie, so don't worry there. And I know it's hard to hear, but Baby Z really didn't mean it.
Do I have to forgive him?
When you're ready.
I don't think I'll ever be.
Well, why don't you have another bite of carrot and snuggle in? I'm going to tell you a story.
Okay, Mimi.
This is a story about a man named Jonah. One day, God says to Jonah that people in a far-off city are treating each other badly. Jonah should stop what he's doing, go there, and tell the people to change their behavior. Jonah thinks to himself, no thank you, I'm not getting involved. He boards a boat sailing in the opposite direction. Unfortunately for Jonah, God makes the sea stormy. The sailors realize that Jonah has angered God by running away. When they ask Jonah how to make the seas calm again, Jonah insists that they throw him overboard. Before Jonah has a chance to swim, a giant whale comes along and swallows him.
Wait, what kind of whale? Like an orca? A humpback whale?
Let's just say it was a really huge whale, a giant species that existed back then.
I bet it was a leviathan.
From inside the whale's belly, Jonah prays to God. When the whale spits Jonah out onto land, Jonah knows that he must do what God told him to do in the first place.
But wait, why doesn't God just go?
To the city?
Yeah.
Because in this story, it's very important for Jonah that he goes. You'll see.
Okay, I guess.
And let's think of it this way. God needed a messenger.
And he chose Jonah?
God chose Jonah. So where was I? Great questions, Nishamashali. Okay, getting back into it. Jonah travels to this far-off city and speaks out. He tells everyone who lives there that they must treat each other kindly. They take Jonah's message to heart and begin to change, and God forgives them. Jonah says to God, "Really? You forgive them just like that?" And God says, yes, everyone has the power to forgive. Everyone can show compassion and kindness to others. The end.
Well, I guess if God can forgive Jonah for running away, and also a whole city of people, I can forgive Baby Z.
I think you'll feel a little better doing that too.
Yeah, I feel better already. And knowing you can fix Owly helps. Plus, I guess Z didn't really mean it, being a baby. And the people in the story were grown-ups, who definitely knew better.
And God still forgave them. Speaking of Baby Z, there's Ima, Baba, and Z right now.
Thanks, Mimi. Oh, can I take a carrot for the road?
Sure.
Bye, Mimi.
Love you, Nishamashali.